You've probably heard the saying, love shouldn't hurt. But what happens when the love that hurts feels like the only love that's real? When an avoidant person becomes your emotional home, you might actually be living in a psychological prison disguised as deep connection. Here's the uncomfortable truth about how avoidants create trauma bonds that feel like soulmate connections, but are actually cycles of emotional captivity. The intermittent reinforcement trap. Avoidants excel at creating what psychologists call intermittent reinforcement, unpredictable rewards that create the strongest psychological addiction. They give you just enough love, attention, and intimacy to keep you hooked, but never consistently enough to feel secure. One day, they're deeply present, making you feel like the most important person in their world. The next day, they're cold and distant, leaving you questioning everything. This inconsistency doesn't push you away. It makes you crave their attention even more desperately because your brain becomes addicted to those rare moments of connection. Mistaking anxiety for passion. The constant uncertainty creates a heightened emotional state that feels intense and passionate. Your nervous system is always activated, wondering when they'll pull away next or when they'll finally open up completely. This anxiety gets misinterpreted as deep love because it feels so consuming and all-encompassing. You convince yourself that if it didn't matter so much, it wouldn't hurt so badly. But what you're actually experiencing isn't love. It's trauma bonding, where the pain and relief cycles create an artificial sense of intimacy. The familiar pain feels like home. If you grew up with inconsistent caregivers or emotional neglect, an avoidant's hot and cold behavior can feel familiar and therefore right. Your nervous system recognizes this pattern as love because it mirrors your early attachment experiences. The constant work to earn their affection, the walking on eggshells to avoid triggering their withdrawal, the relief when they finally show warmth, it all feels like home because it's what your brain learned love looks like in childhood. Breaking free from the prison. Real love doesn't require you to constantly prove your worth or live in fear of abandonment. Healthy relationships provide consistent emotional safety, not intermittent moments of connection, followed by painful withdrawal. If being with someone feels like an emotional roller coaster, where you're always fighting for their attention and affection, you're not in love. You're in a trauma bond. The first step to freedom is recognizing that the intensity you feel isn't depth of connection, but depth of dysfunction. True love feels peaceful, not chaotic.